We're looking at part 14 of the essential oils, their history and their use. So first of all, just a reminder that this presentation is educational in nature and that it's just another tool in your wellness tool belt for keeping well or getting well, as the case may be. It's not to be construed as medical advice. You always want to make sure that you conduct your own due diligence on any modality, treatment, or thing that you would put into your body before doing so. And the information here isn't exhaustively comprehensive, but makes an attempt to be as complete as possible. Tonight, we're going to be looking at lavender, Lavandula, and angustifolia. And there are different species. Angustifolia is the primary one that's used in the world of essential oils, but there are a number of different species within the genus of Lavandula. So it means to wash from the Latin. So Latin is lavere, which means to wash. It is likely the most used essential oil around the world. It has calming effects aromatically, so even just the flowers and the crushed petals have that effect. It has a 2,500-year medicinal and religious use history. In Egypt, it was used during the mummification process and also as a perfume. Kind of helped to overcome the potentials of body odor in the various places where people lived. And the Romans used it in cooking as an aromatic scent for the air around them, as well as a bath water additive. So the Romans were some of the first to routinely utilize bathing. And after, of course, the bathing was important within the Hebrew culture, the Israelites, the Levitical law was quite rigorous about cleanliness, and that's one of the things, along with God's blessing, that helped to keep them well during their wanderings in the wilderness while they were learning who God was and how he worked in their lives and wanted to work in their lives. And it's just an amazing testament to God's power that during that period of time, their clothing and their shoes did not wear out during that period of 40 years of wandering in the wilderness until they entered the land of Canaan, and then and were in their home territory essentially. And God continued to provide for them, but he also was able to allow them to put together their own textiles and things once they became settled. And part of that is washing and lavere. So it was used in the Latin. The Romans used it. Romans were key in using Latin as a language, and it was a bathwater additive in their culture. So its most famous use, about 2,000 years ago, it actually came with the name of spikenard or nard from the Greek lavender, nardus, from the city of Narda, which was a Syrian city. So today it's the most common essential oil that's used. It's very versatile, eases tension and aids sleep, but its most historic use, its most profound historic use was that of Mary, who took a pound of ointment of spikenard, which in this case appears to have been lavender or lavender-based, a very costly ointment, and anointed the feet of Jesus and wiped his feet with her hair. And the house was filled with the odor of the ointment. So it's interesting that the spikenard was also calming in effect and would just help to soothe the nervous system of the people that were present in its aroma, and that's true for today as well. So the part of the lavender plant that's used for an essential oil is the flowers, and the flowers are steam distilled to extract the 4 different compounds that are the primary bioactive compounds. There's linalool, which is in the purple box there, a-terpineol, which is on the far right there with the 3 methyl groups, and the hydroxyl group off the ring, and then linalool acetate, the nearer chain there with the red oxygen attached there, and then b-ocimene, which is another chain formed compound of the lavender. So those are their primary bioactive compounds, and they have varying roles that play into the history and usefulness of lavender essential oil. So the key properties of lavender. Lavender is essentially a go-to oil. It's one that if you have anything around, you should have lavender. It has some sedative properties, has astringent properties, and that draws tissue together, so it's helpful for wound healing and skin conditions. It's an antihistamine, which basically functions to counteract allergic reactions. It's a cytophylactic, so in that regard, it protects cells, so it's a cellular protective, has an antioxidant capacity to it. Antispasmodic, which helps to prevent muscular spasms, smooth muscle and skeletal muscle. Also promotes cellular activity. So that would be the cellular activity of regeneration and growth of those cells. And it does it on a modulatory effect, so it's not going to stimulate cells to grow inappropriately. It's only going to cause them to do that appropriately. It also functions as an antidepressant, so it helps to lift the mood. It's an analgesic, which is a pain reducer, so you can use the essential oil to help reduce pain. It's a hypotensive, which means that it can help lower elevated blood pressure. And it's a nervine. So nervine affects the whole nervous system. It helps to calm the nerves down. Rather than being excitatory, it's inhibitory in nature. So very relaxing and soothing. Has antibacterial properties, so that's helpful. You can use it in a spritz. You can use it just straight as an essential oil. This is one that you can actually apply neat without any kind of dilution with a carrier oil. You can extend it with a carrier oil, but it's one that is safe to use just directly on the skin topically. But of course, with everything, you want to test it on yourself because there are unique allergies or sensitivities across populations, so you just need to be careful with anything you use for the first time. It's regenerative, which means that it has a capacity to promote cellular activity, and that's a good thing. And it's a cardiotonic, so it benefits the heart. So heart effects are a beneficial thing. So a tonic is everything that tends towards health, and this is specifically helpful towards heart activity. So lavender blends well particularly with clary sage. So you can see the flowers of the clary sage there. Wild orange, and they actually are extracting the essential oil of orange from the peel, and frankincense. So frankincense is another essential oil that is very prominent and helpful for use as an essential oil. So lavender safety, again, when in doubt, use lavender. It's very, very versatile. So if you're looking for an essential oil to use for any kind of a condition, antibacterial has roles. So it has quite a broad spectrum of activity. Again, it's safe for neat usage, which is just a technical term for using it straight without being diluted. But again, it's always recommended to test that on a test spot before you would use it for the first time in a large area. So some specific uses of lavender essential oil. It's been helpful in promoting sleep. So that can be helpful topically. Just apply it to the bottoms of the feet, just rub it in nice. Nice foot massage is always helpful anyway. And the back of the neck, you can inhale the scent from your hand, or you can just use it aromatically. Diffuse it from a diffuser. You can see a nice diffuser ball there on the right. Apply 5 drops to a bedside stand, or just even to bedding material. That can be helpful. So 2 to 3 drops to the back of the neck or the temples or the chest, and that will, as the body warms up, become volatile, and those essential oils will be inhaled and have a calming effect, so that nervine effect. Anxiety, teeth grinding, stress helps to reduce those issues. So use it topically. You can massage the back of the neck, inhale again from the palms, or massage over the heart area. Aromatic use, again, inhale from the palms of the hands, or add to a warm water bath, or you can apply it regionally. So like the Romans, so you could use it in an overall bath. So to help improve concentration or focus, you can topically add 1 drop. You can use it with vetiver essential oil. So that grass at the bottom there is the vetiver plant, and that's helpful for helping to improve concentration and focus. And you can just also aromatically diffuse it in addition to that. So it's very helpful for burns, whether it's from the sun or from other heat sources, and helps to reduce scarring. Good thing to have just around the kitchen in case you get a burn, a splatter of oil or hot water, steam burn, or on a stove. Just helps to soothe the skin and promotes healing. The story goes that the essential oil of lavender was at one point rediscovered by someone in a chemistry lab that got a burn, working on some essential oil extraction, and just grabbed the lavender, put it on, and noticed the immediate healing benefits and soothing effects of that lavender essential oil. And that was kind of the rebirth of the essential oil usage in modern times, was around the use of lavender essential oil. So mix the lavender with coconut oil, and you can apply up to 2 times a day on sunburn, scars, or other burns, and that can help promote healing. Allergies and hay fever respond well. You can use it internally in a capsule with peppermint and lemon essential oil. That's a helpful blend that you can use for allergies and hay fever. You can use it aromatically. Use all 3, the peppermint, lemon essential oil, and the lavender, inhale it from the palms to help with allergies. In sprains and other pain, again, remember that it has an analgesic effect and an overall healing and regenerative effect, cellular growth promoting effect. So you can just massage that oil into the area that has been affected by the sprain or other pain. Like, for example, knee pain or other joint pain could benefit from the use of lavender essential oil. So cuts, blisters, and wounds, again, the analgesic effect is helpful with that, just not the analgesic, but the astringent effect, because it helps to draw tissue together. Topically massage it into the areas affected. You can mix it with coconut oil if you're sensitive to it. Most people aren't sensitive to it, but you can always do that. And you can improve its synergistic benefits through the addition of frankincense essential oil. For individuals with high blood pressure, you can apply it topically to pulse points and over the heart. So this figure on the right, the yellow dots are the pulse points or pressure points on the human body. So you have a couple in the head, you have the carotid arteries on each side, you have at the base of the heart, and the coronary artery there, and at the palms, there's 2, and the inguinal area, there are 2 on each side, and the deep femoral veins, or arteries rather, popliteal vein behind popliteal artery behind the knee, as well as down on the foot. There are some pressure points. So you can apply essential oil to those, the lavender essential oil, to help aid with high blood pressure issues. You can use it internally in a capsule, put several drops in a capsule and consume it internally. You can also apply it to the back of the neck and chest and use it in a diffuser, add a drop to a glass of water or tea, and drink it. So you can diffuse it, drink it in a capsule, or topically apply it. You want to make sure that your essential oil that you're doing that with, though, is pure essential oil. It doesn't have any additives or impurities associated with it. So organic is best. Migraines and headaches can be benefited from the use of lavender essential oil. So aromatically inhale it from the palms for over the course of about 15 minutes can be helpful. Sometimes migraine can come on quite acutely, and this can potentially help stave that off. Topically apply it to the temples and the back of the neck, and using it along with peppermint can help have a synergistic benefit to migraines and other types of headaches. Of course, headaches sometimes can be brought on not only by stress, which lavender can help to mitigate, but also can be brought on by dehydration. So also make sure that you have adequate hydration that isn't complicating any headache issues. So some research associated with lavender. So lavender, Lavandula stoicas, which is a different species, but has other therapeutic properties. Essential oil attenuate hyperglycemia and protect against oxidative stress in Alexin-induced diabetic rats. So this was a study on diabetic rats that were caused to be diabetic by a chemical challenge. And attenuation means to slow down. Hyperglycemia, which is elevated blood sugar. So there's potential benefits in humans. It lessened the severity of the lab-induced diabetes, improved the weight ratio of the rats, and also had protective effects on the liver and kidney, keeping them from degenerating in the course of that challenge. Lavender, the nervous system, by Kovaland et al., evidence-based complementary and alternative medicine. So looking at that functioning, the lavender functioning as a nervine. And then in the Unbound Medline, June 15, 2012, Bukele et al. Looked at phase 2 trials on the effects of Siloxane in patients with neurasthenia, post-traumatic stress disorder, or somatization disorder. And they're looking at the lavender essential oil in connection with that. So 80 milligrams of lavender essential oil used internally helped mitigate the symptoms, particularly of insomnia, anxiety, depression, and the symptoms associated with Alzheimer's disease. Which Alzheimer's is an interesting diagnosis. There are a number of things that can manifest themselves as Alzheimer's, which essentially is a memory loss disorder, but there are many things that can masquerade as that, and many times Alzheimer's diagnosis can be misdiagnosed in that process and could be aided through other means that intervene with diet and lifestyle kinds of factors. The lavender essential oil helped to reduce depression in 32.7% of the people with post-traumatic stress disorder, which is a phenomenal rate of success with that too. So something to keep in mind. Also functioning as an olfactory stimulus in both men and women, had beneficial factors with that, particularly for men and women, noted in 2005 in chronobiology. So chrono is time biology, so looking at biological clocks and things of that nature. Lies et al. At Tehan Kano Hachi-chi, which is a different, it's a journal from an Asian country, effects of lavender aromatherapy on insomnia and depression in women college students. So there's a number of different things that can lead to insomnia and depression in women in general, and college students specifically, but some overall effects in just helping to keep individuals more calm and not as easily depressed. So that's a helpful thing to just have around. LTIDT in the American Journal of Dentistry, so looking at it in connection with a dental profession. Topical lavender oil for the treatment of recurrent F-Thaus ulceration. So ulceration is a tissue inflammation, and the topical lavender oil was helpful for that. In Life Sciences 2014, Yunela Liu T et al. And their associated researchers noted that the lavender essential oil inhalation suppresses allergic airway inflammation and mucus cell hyperplasia in a murine model of asthma. So murine is referring to the fact that it's a mouse model, and hyperplasia is increased plasia production. So the excess mucus production can be a byproduct of asthmatic situations. So it helped to reduce that excess mucus production and inflammation. And that inflammation can often manifest itself as airway constriction, which is a frequent asthma symptom. So lavender used aromatically can be beneficial in that regard. So that could be a good thing to have around, just in case there are many people who have various types of asthma that haul inhalers around. And if they run out of their inhaler medication, what are they going to do? And this could be something that could help someone in a pinch that didn't have their inhaler. And in fact, many times those asthmatic conditions can be mitigated with changes in diet and lifestyle that people often don't take the time to actually ferret out. They would rather take a quick fix medication rather than denying themselves and sacrificing some things that maybe they like once they find out that that's the cause. But if we do, our health is something that God gave us, and He gave us the right tools to help maintain it and keep it in its finest form. But if we just don't take the time to figure it out, or just don't take it to heart the things that are affecting us when we learn about them and just continue plowing ahead, there are consequences associated with that. But the Lord has provided the things in nature for us to be able to do that, to approach it from a natural perspective if we so desire. In the European Neurology Journal in 2012, they noted that lavender essential oil was helpful in the treatment of migraine headaches in a placebo-controlled clinical trial. So this was done in a patient clinic kind of setting. So this is actually working with patients with migraines. Migraines can be very debilitating, and they can come on just rather suddenly and just put someone in bed. So being able to have an approach that's helpful, handy, and available is just a lifesaver for many people. So lavender can be helpful in that regard. In brain research, 2014, they were looking at experimental models of stroke. So the effect of lavender oil, this is Lavandula angustifolia, which is the typical one that's used for essential oils, on cerebral edema and its possible mechanism in an experimental model of stroke. So cerebral edema, so that's essentially fluid on the brain. That can be cerebral spinal fluid that collects. It could be blood too, depending on the situation. But the cerebral is head, and edema is the buildup of fluid in that area. And that fluid buildup creates pressure on the fragile neurons of the brain against the, so it's going to be between the meninges or the delicate layers of the brain and the skull. The skull is kind of the hard stop, so to speak, within which the brain resides. And if there's a pressure buildup, it can cause pressure points on the brain and can induce stroke, or at least create a loss of function and that can be manifested in ataxia or other types of disturbances, neurological disturbances. And the best thing to do is to have some direct medical attention to have that pressure relieved. There may be, if it's caught soon enough, there may be some things that one can do. In fact, this lavender essential oil may be a part of that could help reduce that if you were not able to access a clinical situation. So just knowing that you have that extra tool in your tool belt to use can be very beneficial.
To be aware of new videos like this one, be sure to subscribe to the Preparing for the Time of Trouble channel. For more free videos and downloadable audio podcasts, as well as handouts, go to www.preparingforthetimeoftrouble.com. Topic categories include recordings of live seminar presentations, country living, sustainable gardening, homestead remedies, how to be self-sufficient when the grid goes down, wild edible and medicinal plants, hydrotherapy, and end-time Bible prophecies. To take advantage of these free resources, go to preparingforthetimeoftrouble.com.